Hi, the date is the 6th of August, 2026, and I have decided to finish my last year of high school online and possibly open the door for a university or a career in the future. And this is probably one of the most difficult things I've ever done. And that sounds kind of confusing because, and most people, they just go to high school, they complete it, they go get a degree, and it's not that difficult. But whereas certain things come easier to me, like big realizations and doing big changes in my life, as you might have seen from the videos, certain things are about a million times harder. Whereas I'm very in touch with my kind of childhood self, or kind of, I talked about in the past the idea of the eternal child. Now it's becoming difficult because I am holding on to all the bad qualities of being a childish person and not growing up, like not wanting to lose potential, never wanting to commit to anything. And after I understood this archetype, I kind of understood this has been my entire life. I've never commit to anything, and I've never even been able to do any boring work. Throughout school, that's when AI came out, and I just used AI for all of my school, and anything I just didn't pass. And it actually worked. It got me up to the last year of high school, and then I just couldn't do anything anymore. I just had to leave. And this concept, I think some people will resonate with very strongly, and some people will be like, I'm just lazy. But what you have to understand is there's a bit of balance. Whereas things like big realizations and passionate things I'm passionate about and other things in that area come really easy to me, things like boring work and things that I deem as not worth it, or I can't see the reward at the time, that is like the most difficult thing to do. And it just sounds like I'm being lazy, but genuinely there is like a psychological thing blocking me from doing it. And I will genuinely take the most difficult path around to avoid the boring work. And someone I really look up to said a story about a guy who he was a hiker, and he didn't want to do the boring stuff of carrying a rucksack and tramping through the snow with a bunch of food. So he trained himself to go without food and to use yogic breathing techniques to not have to carry a rucksack. And this is exactly the issue I have. I didn't want to do the boring stuff in school. I didn't want to commit to the boring assessments that everyone found so easy. So I went and made tens of thousands of dollars through finance. As what's his name put it, I climbed a mountain to avoid climbing a molehill. And that is the psychology that is built into me. But the problem with that is there's no growth. There's no commitment. This will not allow me to commit to a job, a career, a relationship. And where my goals are orientated, that's where they're orientated. So what do you do? And the answer is constellation. You have one part where you're lacking and one part where you're really strong. You got one part up here, one part down here. You have to bring it back to balance. And that is the most difficult thing that a human can do. When you are unconstellated, and I guess some people classify as not a whole person, reconstellating and re-becoming a whole person again or rebalancing is the most difficult thing you can do. And it's especially difficult, whereas reconstellating for a lot of people is very similar, because a lot of people have very similar psychologies and a very similar archetype. Whereas reconciling, maybe getting in touch with your childhood self, or committing to something, or pursuing a creativity, or pursuing a passion. But where I'm at, that is the things I'm good at, because I always valued that and I stayed an eternal child. So whereas that might be someone's big moment and the hardest thing they can do, where their psychology blocks them off from, what my psychology blocks me off from is the hard work and the commitment, and not even the hard work, the boring work, the consistent work. And why it is, one of the reasons it is so difficult is because it's not heroic. I could do it if it was heroic. I could do it if you could fantasize about it, if you could make a movie, but nobody shows this stuff in the movies. Nobody fantasizes about the hard work. Nobody fantasizes about taking the trash out every morning and doing all this stuff. It's boring. And it goes against all my psychological beliefs. Whereas a lot of people will just say, worst case scenario, just clear your mind. Just don't even think about it and just do the action of doing it. But with the eternal child psychology, that is the best case scenario. The best case scenario is to tune off your mind and just be able to do it. Anything else will make you want to do something insanely big to avoid the small thing. It'll make you feel like you just can't do the small thing. It'll come up with every excuse. It will stop you at all costs from doing that small thing. And the hardest part is, if you can overcome that, if you can do the small thing, you're not going to get a gold medal, and people aren't going to say, oh, good job. That's the hardest part about it, is if it was heroic, I could do it. If taking out the trash every day made me look like I was a committed person, I could do it. But it doesn't. And that is one of the reasons it's so difficult to do. So I am kind of at the point where I have to choose, do I want to grow up and be a functioning member of society and be able to start a career and commit to something? Or do I want to, keep being a child and never be able to commit and waste my years away? And I think when I say that, a lot of people might think that, oh, don't kill your childish delusion to go work a 9-to-5. That's like a big no-no. Haven't you seen a Disney movie? But what I would say to that is, I know that this is an issue, not because I'm choosing not to commit. It's because I genuinely cannot commit. It's because I genuinely cannot bring myself to do the boring stuff. If I could do it, and then I could have both those pathways and then choose the creativity, that would be good, because then I would also have the skill to be able to commit to the creativity. I don't have that choice. Right now, it's only the creativity. There's no commitment at all. And that is a skill I'll need for either route, either pathway. I would need commitment. So that's just bringing myself back into balance. And again, probably one of the most difficult things I'll ever do, and get no praise for it. It's not an easy thing. And I hope that someone watching this will really resonate with it, because it sounds like I'm just complaining, but I'm going to try to re-enter high school and do the assessments properly and learn the skill of committing. I'm going to sacrifice my other potential of becoming anything else, and I'm going to commit to one path, and I'm going to take it all the way to the end, because I believe that the end of any path that you can commit to will bring me to my goal, because I'm not too worried about a specific thing. I want to be able to commit to a relationship. I want to be able to commit to a job. And when that is my goal, this is the closest thing that will get me there. And the first step is being able to commit to high school. And the funniest paradox that you'll see is, when I talk about this, it even sounds a little bit heroic. It sounds a little bit kind of like when you see in a movie a main character maybe grinding towards something, but that is just a feeling in my brain right now. That is just a chemical going off. When I wake up and there's not that chemical anymore and I'm feeling so bummed out and I still have to do the work, that is the most difficult thing ever. When there is no motivation, no passion, and even talking about something like doing this when you're not motivated, doing the hard work when you're not motivated, that sounds like a fantasy. That sounds like something a main character would say in a movie. But when you're actually living it, it's not like a main character. There's no cameras, there's nobody filming it, there's nobody recognizing you for doing it. It is just hard work. It is just going against your psychology and going against how you were wired to become the person you were meant to be. And again, saying you're trying to become the person you're meant to be sounds heroic, but doing a school assessment or studying late night or taking out the trash, it's not that heroic. And that is the hardest part about it. But yeah, so I re-signed up to high school online and gonna finish my last year and see where that leads me. But yeah, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. That's the end of the video.